Do y'all prefer the run and hide type of horror game or the fight and face your fear type of horror game? Let me explain a bit more what I mean. You see, back in the 1990s when games like Resident Evil and Silent Hill were made, most games had some form of combat. And so likewise, these games gave you weapons and items to fight the enemies with. Now the fear created in these games was from the limited ammo supply and the infamously tankish controls. But these tank controls weren't purposefully made that way to create tension. 3D game development was fairly new at the time, and this was just the best they could do. A mixture of progress in game development, people getting a little fatigued with the survival horror genre, and Resident Evil 4 getting very popular, the horror genre started to experience a slight shift. Horror games started to have controls and gameplay that were just as smooth as your typical action game at the time. While a game might have good atmosphere and might have a few jump scares here and there, most people found that these games just weren't that scary, because you knew no matter what came your way, you were fully capable of taking it down. And so once again, people were kind of fatigued with the horror genre. And a lot of people felt it was impossible to even make a scary game anymore. But then around the 2010s, the indie horror scene got really popular. And the focus of these games shifted from trying to fight the enemy to trying to run, hide, and avoid the enemy at all costs. And for the horror genre, this was a genius idea. Horror games work by making the player feel vulnerable. And there's nothing that makes you feel quite as vulnerable as not being able to fight back. But there was something that was lost in these games that I didn't realize until I played RE7 for the first time. While it's easy to get scared by a game that doesn't let you fight the enemy at all, there's an art to giving you the ability to fight but making you scared to do so. Outlast horror stems from having a bunch of monsters around you have to avoid. RE7's horror stems from having a bunch of monsters around you can't avoid. And so again I ask, do you prefer the run and hide type of horror game or the fight and face your fear type of horror game? Me personally, I prefer the latter. Because while a game like Outlast will certainly terrify me, once I beat it and see all the scares it has to offer, there's not much of a reason for me to replay it. But if a game has fun combat, I'm more likely to come back to it way after it stops scaring me. But that's what I prefer. What about you? Let me know in the comments below.